Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. We're going to be starting a new book today in our Let's Read segment, and we're going to be reading Living Untethered by Michael Singer. Michael Singer is the author of this book and also The Untethered Soul, as well as The Surrender Experiment. So if you have not checked out his books before, I highly recommend it. He is such a great writer. His story is amazing. The Surrender Experiment does talk about more his personal journey. That's why I chose not to read it, even though I do own the book and I have read it myself. But this book is more about helping the reader or the listener. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. So this book has a total of, let's see, 8 different chapters, and each chapter is broken up into about 5 or 6 sections, and each section ties in with one another. So for example, we're going to read part 1, and that one is titled Conscious Awareness. So there are 5 different topics we're going to talk about. There's 17 pages, but the writing is so tiny that those 17 pages could easily be double than that. So I'm probably not going to make it through one whole part or one whole chapter in each video. I will probably break each part up into 2 videos, each containing a few of the sections. So hopefully that isn't too much for you. I just don't want to make the videos too terribly long. So let's go ahead and get started with chapter 1, and the topic again that we're going to be talking about in these next 5 sections is conscious awareness. So this one is titled Awareness of Self. Sitting on a planet spinning through vast outer space for a handful of years, in the broadest sense, is the human predicament. Earth has been here for 4.5 billion years, yet each of us is limited to roughly an 80-year ride on the planet, give or take a few years. We were born onto the planet, and we will leave it when we die. That is simply the truth. What is not such a hard and fast truth, however, is what our years on Earth are like. Undoubtedly, life on the planet can be a very exciting experience. It can bring enthusiasm, passion, and inspiration at every turn. When it unfolds that way, every day can be a beautiful adventure. Unfortunately, life on Earth rarely unfolds exactly as we want it to, and if we resist, our experience can be quite unpleasant. Resistance creates tension and anxiety, and it makes life a burden. To avoid this burden and to be able to fully embrace life, wise ones throughout the ages have taught the importance of accepting reality. Only by accepting reality can we work with the flow of life as it passes by and create a better world. All of science is based on studying reality, learning her laws, and then working with those laws to improve our lives. Scientists can't deny reality. They must fully accept reality as the starting point of their endeavors. To fly, we must fully embrace the law of gravity, not deny its existence. The same is true in the spiritual realm. Teachings such as surrender, acceptance, and non-resistance form the basis of a deeply spiritual life. But these concepts can be difficult to grasp. In Living Untethered, we are embarking on a journey into the sheer reasonableness of acceptance and the great gifts it promises: freedom, peace, and inner enlightenment. Acceptance is best understood as non-resistance to reality. Try as you may, no one can make an event that has already happened not have happened. Your only choice is to accept the event or resist it. During our journey together, we will explore how and why you make this decision. But first, you have to understand who is within that has the power to decide. You are certainly in there. You have an intuitive sense of existence inside. What is that? It is awareness of self, the most important topic we could ever discuss. Since we're going to take a deep dive into the spirituality of acceptance, we must start by understanding who is in there accepting or resisting. There are many ways to approach the nature of self. Let's go slowly and start with something very simple. Imagine someone comes up to you and asks, "Hi, are you in there?" How would you respond? No one would actually say, "No, I'm not in here." That would be the ultimate non sequitur. If you're not in there, who responded? You're definitely in there, but what does that mean? To isolate what "you in there" means, imagine you're shown 3 different photographs. The photos are held up one after another, and then you're asked, though the photos changed, was it the same you who saw all 3 of them? Your response would be, of course it was the same me. Very good. That helps us get our bearings. From this simple exercise, it's clear that you in there are not what you look at. You are the one who's looking. The pictures changed. You who saw them stayed the same. It's not hard to understand with photographs that you are not what you look at, but there are objects we identify with more than others. For example, our bodies. We identify with our bodies enough to say, I'm a 43-year-old woman who is 5'6". Is that really who you are in there? A 43-year-old, 5'6" female body? Or is the body something you in there are aware of? To sort this out, let's start with your hand. If you were asked whether you can see your hand, you would say, yes, I see my hand. Okay, but what if it got cut off? Don't worry about the pain. Just for a moment, imagine it's gone. Would you still be there? Wouldn't you notice that your hand is gone? It's like the changing photographs. When the hand was there, you saw it. When it was gone, you saw it was gone. You in there who sees did not change. What you were looking at changed. Your body is just another thing you see. The question remains, who is in there doing the seeing? Note that we didn't have to stop with the hand. Surgery has become so advanced that, with the help of a heart-lung machine and other medical devices, surgeons could remove a great deal of your body, and the same sense of self would still be in there, aware of the changes. How could you be your body if it changed that much? And you in there stayed the same. Fortunately, to help you realize you are not your body, we don't really need to go that far. There is a much simpler, intuitive way to approach this. Surely you've noticed that your body didn't look the same when you were 3, 10, 20, or 50 years old. It certainly won't look the same when you're 80 or 90. But isn't it the same you in there looking at it? When you were 10 years old and you looked in the mirror, did you see what you see now? No, but wasn't it you looking then and now? You've been in there the whole time, haven't you? That's the core, the essence of everything we're discussing. Who are you? Who is in there looking out through those eyes and seeing what you're seeing? Just like when you were shown the 3 photographs, you are not any of the photos. You were the one looking at them. Likewise, when you look out at the mirror, you are not what you see. You are the one who sees it. Little by little, through the use of these examples, we are revealing the nature of self. Your relationship to what you see is always one of subject-object. You are the subject, and what you are looking at is the object. There are many different objects coming in through your senses, but there's only one subject experiencing them. You. Sorry, my hair is sticking in a funny way. I just realized that I did not read the introduction. I always read the introduction. And you know why? Because there is no introduction. Sweet. Okay, sorry, that was bugging me. Chapter 2 of Section 1, the conscious receiver. Once you recognize that you're in there, you're going to notice that objects around you tend to distract your consciousness. A neighborhood dog barks, someone walks in the room. You smell the aroma of coffee, and your awareness is drawn to those objects. On a daily basis, you are so distracted by external objects that you rarely remain centered on you, the conscious receiver of these objects. Let's take a moment to examine the real relationship between this conscious receiver and the objects it is distracted by. To look at this scientifically, you are not even looking at the outer objects. Right now, you are not actually looking out at what you see. What's happening is that rays of light are bouncing off the molecules that make up the outer objects. These reflected rays are hitting your eye's photoreceptors and being transmitted back as messages through your nervous system. These messages are then rendered in your mind as an image of the external objects. You are actually seeing the objects inside, not outside. We are slowly peeling back the onion to see what it's like to be you. Things are certainly not what they appear to be. Even science backs that up. It's like you are sitting inside looking at a mental flat screen monitor that is imagining the world in front of you. You are obviously not the object you are looking at. After all, you are not even looking at the actual object. If you work your way back, the question becomes, who am I in here looking at a mental image of what is in front of me? There was a great saint from India, an enlightened master named Ramana Maharshi. His entire spiritual path was to every moment persistently ask, who sees when I see? Who hears when I hear? Who feels when I feel? Self-realization, the term for enlightenment the yoga master Paramahansa Yogananda used, means you have fully realized who you are in there. The entire spiritual journey back to the seat of self is not about finding yourself. It's about realizing you are the self. Even in a Judeo-Christian sense, if somebody asks whether they have a soul, the correct answer is no, you don't have a soul. You in there, the consciousness, are the soul. Thus, who are you becomes the quintessential question. You can't free yourself until you understand who it is that's bound. Likewise, you can't understand acceptance until you understand who is resisting. Let's continue our exploration of self. Earlier, we discussed that when you were young, you looked out through your eyes and saw a certain reflection in the mirror. Later in your life, you saw a very different reflection. From that point of view, how old are you? Not how old is your body, how old are you in there who's looking out through those eyes at your body? If you were in there when you were 10, if you were in there when you were 20, if you're going to be in there on your deathbed noticing that you're dying, then what age are you in there? Don't answer that question. Just let it touch you at a very deep level. Are you willing to let go of traditional concepts about your age? Let's do another interesting experiment. Imagine you're looking in the mirror right after taking a shower. Do you see the reflection of a male or female body? What if suddenly, through some mysterious power, it changes? Somehow, the body parts change. If you were male, you're now looking at a female, and if you were a female, you're now looking at a male. Would it still be the same you in there looking at that body? Would it still be the same consciousness that has always looked out through those eyes, now seeing a very different body? You would probably be saying, what happened? What's going on here? Nevertheless, it would be the same you having the entire experience. So what gender are you in there? You in there who has no body parts can't have a gender. All you can have is an awareness that when you look out through your eyes, the body you're looking at has a certain form and shape. That form and shape might be male or female, but you who notices are neither. The question remains, who are you? The awareness that intuitively knows you're in there. Your body has an age and your body has a gender, but those concepts are irrelevant to the one who notices the body. If you look at a tall 100-year-old vase, does that make you tall and 100 years old? The same is true of race. Your skin may be a certain color, but the consciousness that notices this has no color at all. You are not your body. You are the one who notices the characteristics of your body. You are the conscious awareness within that is looking at all of this. The question is, are you willing to let go of who you thought you were? Because who you thought you were is not who you are. The same inner being is looking at your body, your house, your car. You are the subject. All the rest are objects of consciousness. Let's turn to something a little lighter. At night, you go to sleep and you often dream. You wake up in the morning and you say, "I had a dream." That statement is actually very deep. How do you know you had a dream? Do you merely remember the dream, or were you actually there experiencing it? The answer is very simple. You were in there experiencing it. The same you who looks through your eyes and sees the outer world was experiencing the events occurring in the dream. There's only one conscious being in there, and you are either experiencing the waking world or the dream world. Note that when describing your interactions with both worlds, you intuitively use the word I, as in, I was flying through the clouds with my arms wide open. Then I suddenly woke up and realized I was in bed. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is a very ancient yogi text, Patanjali discusses the topic of deep dreamless sleep. He says that when you go to sleep and there are no dreams, it's not that you're not conscious, it's that you are conscious of nothing. If you spend time contemplating this, you're going to find that you're always conscious in there. Even people who get knocked unconscious or go into a coma often come back and tell us what they were experiencing. People have near-death experiences in which they leave their bodies and come back to tell about it. Whatever the sources of their experiences, the same you in there experienced them and were able to describe what you experienced. How can you call that not being conscious? Medically, we call it conscious. And this has to do with awareness of our external surroundings. However, the concept of whether you in there are consciously aware of anything, that's another story altogether. You're always conscious. You've been conscious from the beginning. You're aware of whatever you focus on, internally or externally. Who are you? Is that consciously aware entity inside? Who is that consciously aware entity inside? All right, let me just take a look at my next. I'm going to read chapter 3 because it is back just 2 pages back to back shorter. All right, chapter 3, Living Inside. We are back to the most basic truths of your life. You're in there, you know that you're in there, and you've been in there all along. This raises some interesting questions, such as, when the body dies, will you still be aware of being? Isn't that an interesting question? Don't get excited, we're not going to answer that for you. Eventually, however, there will be someone who provides that answer. You. You are guaranteed to personally find out someday whether you will be there after the body dies. Why do people have so much trouble with death? It's got to be one of the most exciting aspects of your life. It's truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. That is what's waiting for you at the time of death. After that final moment, either you are going to be there or you are not. If you're not there, don't worry. It's not like, oh my God, I'm not there, I don't like this. No, you're not there, so it's not going to be a problem. The other alternative, however, is much more interesting. What if you are there? Then you're going to find out what it's like to explore a whole other universe where you don't even have a body. Let's not talk about it further because it runs into people's beliefs, concepts, or views about the subject. Let's just let it be something to look forward to as the ultimate once-in-a-lifetime experience. The reason some people have so much trouble with death is because they identify with their bodies. As if that's not enough, they also identify with their cars and houses. People project their sense of self onto things that are not their self. When they do that, they feel afraid to lose those things. As you work your way through your inner growth, you won't identify with these outer objects anymore. You'll identify with the deeper sense of self within. Now that it's clear that you're in there, it becomes reasonable to ask, what do you do in there? Even more relevant, what's it like in there? What an interesting question to ask. What's it like in there? If people answered honestly, most would say that it's not always so much fun in there. In fact, sometimes it's downright tough. What's that all about? This is where we get down to a real honest discussion about inner growth. Most people don't realize that it can always be nice in there. Take the nicest it's ever been. Holding your first child, the day of your wedding, your first kiss, winning the lottery. Recall that state, then increase it multifold and have it be that way all the time, except that it keeps getting higher. That is what you are capable of experiencing inside. And that is the truth. It really is beautiful in there, but something is messing it up. Imagine walking into a house that has dirt, banana peels, and pizza crusts all over the place. It happens to be a beautiful house, but no one took care of it. It can be beautiful again, but some work needs to be done. This is exactly the situation inside you. In fact, that is why we're on this inner exploration. Everybody wants the same thing. They would like it to be nice in there. People do all kinds of things to try to make it nice in there. Some run around trying to have exciting experiences, find fulfilling relationships, or even take the edge off with drinking or drugs, all for the same reason. The problem is they're approaching the issue in the wrong way. They're asking how to make it nice in there, while the more relevant question is, why is it not nice? If you find out why it's not nice and you get rid of that, you're going to find out that it can be really nice in there. Life doesn't have to be a game of, since it's not nice in here, I need to find things that will compensate for that in order to feel a little bit better. That is what everybody is doing. They are trying to find people, places, and things in the outside world that will unfold in a way that makes it more comfortable inside. People are trying to use the outside to fix the inside. Better to find out why it's not nice inside to begin with. All right, we're going to stop right there. We have 2 more sections to read in part 1. I find it interesting that we end on that subject about everybody looking without instead of looking within, because I mentioned that at the end of my last video with the book that I just read by Don Miguel Ruiz. I was talking about how we all search for the answers, for the essence of who we are. Even our spirituality we seek without, whether it's rituals or churches or people or experiences or drugs or relationships, whatever it is. And there's always that little void that's sitting inside because nothing fills it, because what you're looking for is on the inside. So I find it interesting that that's the first thing that we read about, and that was the last thing we spoke about in the last video. I always feel like these all just tie together for a reason. So, okay, we'll go ahead and stop right here, and I will join you for the last 2 sections of part 1 in our next video. Until then, please take care of yourself. Please take care of those around you, and I will see you all again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.